What if the secret to building a world-class business wasn't found in a boardroom, but in a bottle of gin? In Lessons from Gin, Matt Jones, co-founder of Australia's globally awarded Four Pillars Gin, shares the bold, creative, and refreshingly human approach that turned a small distillery in the Yarra Valley into an international brand. This isn't just a story about spirits, it's about spirit, the entrepreneurial kind. From crafting exceptional products to designing a brand people love. From turning customers into loyal fans to building a company culture that actually means something. This book is full of real-world insights that challenge conventional business wisdom. It's not a textbook, it's a blueprint for those who want to lead with purpose, take creative risks, and pour passion into everything they do. So whether you're building a brand, dreaming of a startup, or just curious how gin became a business masterclass, this summary is for you. In the next few minutes, we'll unpack the key lessons from Gin, and how you can use them to build something truly remarkable, gin optional. Let's dive in. Lesson 1. Place creativity at the heart of your business. What if your business didn't start with a plan, but with a feeling? In Lessons from Gin, Matt Jones opens with a powerful idea. Creativity isn't something you add to a business once the serious stuff is done. It is the serious stuff. At Four Pillars Gin, creativity wasn't just a department or a marketing tactic. It was the foundation. From day one, creativity shaped everything. From the name of the company, to the unique botanicals in each gin, to the unforgettable bottle design. They didn't follow industry trends. They made their own. So what does it really mean to put creativity at the heart of your business? Let's break it down into 3 big ideas. 1. Don't just sell a product, create an experience. Four Pillars didn't just sell gin. They crafted an experience around it. Every touchpoint, the label, the tasting notes, the website, the distillery door, told a story. A story of modern Australian gin, made with care, flair, and a bit of cheeky charm. Matt Jones emphasizes that in today's crowded market, great products alone aren't enough. You need emotional connection, and that comes from creative thinking. Ask yourself, what story does your product tell? How does it make people feel? Would they talk about it the next day? If you can answer those questions with confidence, you're not just selling, you're connecting. 2. Creativity is a muscle. Train it. A lot of people think creativity is a gift. You're either born with it or you're not. Matt Jones disagrees. He believes creativity is a muscle, one that can be trained, stretched, and strengthened with time and practice. At Four Pillars, the team constantly played with ideas. They explored unexpected flavor pairings. They ran wild collaborations, like making gin-infused Christmas puddings or smoked gin for winter. They treated experimentation as part of the process, not a distraction from it. You don't need $1 million budget to do the same. Creativity could mean trying a new video format, rewriting your brand story, or packaging your product in a bold new way. The key is to keep pushing, testing, and learning. Matt's advice? If you want to be more creative, act more creative. Simple, but powerful. 3. Make creativity a company value, not just a job title. One of the smartest things Four Pillars did was make creativity part of their culture. Not just their marketing. Creativity wasn't limited to the design team. It was encouraged in logistics, operations, customer service, everywhere. If someone had a weird idea, they listened. If a bold risk failed, they learned. This built a culture of trust, play, and innovation. People felt safe to speak up, share, and challenge, and that led to some of their biggest breakthroughs. So how can you apply this to your own business? Start by rewarding original thinking. Create space for brainstorming. Celebrate the small experiments, not just the big wins. Because in a truly creative company, everyone is a creator. The big takeaway. Matt Jones teaches us that creativity isn't optional. It's essential. It's what makes you stand out. It's what keeps you growing. And it's what makes business feel alive, for you, your team, and your customers. When you put creativity at the heart of your business, you're not just building a brand. You're building something people want to be part of. So whether you're making gin or launching an online store, ask yourself, are you solving problems the way everyone else does? Or are you brave enough to do it your way? Lesson 2. Design a brand that tells a compelling story. What makes someone fall in love with a brand? It's not just the logo, the color palette, or a clever tagline. It's the story, the feeling of being part of something bigger, something meaningful. In Lessons from Gin, Matt Jones makes it clear, if you want to build a brand people believe in, you need to tell a story worth remembering. At 4 Pillars, branding wasn't an afterthought, it was the soul of the company. From the name, to the design, to every interaction, they built a narrative that people could see, feel, and even taste. So how do you design a brand that tells a compelling story? Here are 3 key principles that made all the difference. 1. Know your why, then build everything around it. Most businesses start with what they do. They make coffee, sell clothes, create content. But 4 Pillars started with why. Their why was simple but powerful, to elevate Australian gin to the world stage. And do it in a way that was creative, authentic, and uniquely Aussie. That purpose became the foundation of their brand. It guided every decision, from their product design to their voice, their collaborations, and even how they treated customers. Matt says this is the key. When you know your why, your brand becomes a living story, not just a business. So ask yourself, why does your brand exist? What do you want it to mean to people? Start there, and let that guide everything else. 2. Be consistent, but keep it human. Storytelling works best when it feels real. And real stories have personality, voice, and emotion. At 4 Pillars, the brand voice was warm, witty, and a little cheeky. It wasn't corporate, it wasn't boring. It felt like a friend telling you about their latest gin obsession. And here's the secret, they didn't just apply that voice to marketing. It showed up everywhere, in emails, packaging, event signage, social media posts, even staff interactions. That consistency built trust. People knew what the brand stood for, and they felt it every time they interacted with it. But just as important, they kept it human. They didn't try to sound perfect. They spoke like real people. They shared their wins and their failures. They told stories that made people laugh, think, and feel something. Matt reminds us, a brand isn't a logo. It's a living relationship between your business and your audience. Make it a good one. 3. Use design to communicate meaning, not just style. Great storytelling isn't just about words. It's visual. 4 Pillars design is instantly recognizable. Copper highlights, bold typography, clean labels. But every element tells a story. The copper color reflects their stills. The clean lines reflect their modern Australian identity. The minimalist layout signals confidence and sophistication. Nothing was random. Every design choice reinforced their values and voice. And that's the lesson. Design isn't just decoration. It's communication. So if you're building a brand, think beyond trends. Ask, what do our visuals say about us? What do they make people feel? Because every visual choice is part of your story, whether you realize it or not. The big takeaway. A compelling brand isn't something you invent. It's something you live. It starts with your purpose. It grows through your voice. And it comes to life in everything you do, visually, verbally, emotionally. Matt Jones and 4 Pillars didn't win hearts by being the loudest. They did it by being the most authentic. By showing up with clarity, consistency, and creativity every single day. So if you want your brand to stand out, don't just ask, what do we do? Ask, what story are we telling? And who are we inviting to be part of it? Lesson 3. Craft product excellence that builds a loyal following. At the heart of every great brand is one unshakable truth. The product has to be exceptional. All the branding, storytelling, and marketing in the world won't matter if the product doesn't deliver. And in Lessons from Gin, Matt Jones makes that crystal clear. At 4 Pillars, everything started and ended with product excellence. Before they built a beautiful brand, before they grew a global audience, they obsessed over one thing: making damn good gin. And not just good once, every single time. So what does it mean to craft product excellence that builds loyalty? Let's break it down into 3 key principles. 1. Obsess over the details, even the invisible ones. Matt Jones describes the 4 Pillars team as relentlessly obsessive. From the purity of the water, to the balance of botanicals, to the exact copper stills they imported from Germany, no detail was too small. Even things customers would never see were treated with care. Because the truth is, quality isn't just what people notice, it's what they feel. That invisible attention to detail builds trust. It creates consistency, and over time, it earns something far more valuable than a sale: loyalty. So ask yourself, what's one invisible detail in your product or service that you could obsess over more? Because when you care deeply, people feel it. 2. Keep innovating, even when you're winning. Here's where most businesses get comfortable. They find one thing that works, and they ride it. But not 4 Pillars. Even after their first gin won global awards, they kept experimenting. They created a seasonal Christmas gin using pudding ingredients, a bloody Shiraz gin with a deep, rich color, even smoked gins and cocktail collabs that pushed boundaries. Matt calls it relentless curiosity, always asking, what else can we try? What could be better? What's next? This innovation didn't just expand their product line, it deepened customer loyalty. People didn't just buy gin. They followed the story. They waited for the next drop. They became fans, not just customers. So if you want to build a loyal following, don't stop at your first success. Keep evolving, keep surprising, keep delighting. Because excellence isn't a one-time act, it's a habit. 3. Listen to feedback, but trust your vision. In the early days, 4 Pillars had critics. Some thought their gins were too bold, too modern, too different from the traditional London dry style. But Matt and the team trusted their vision. They weren't trying to copy anyone. They were creating something uniquely Australian. At the same time, they listened. They paid attention to customer reactions. They hosted tastings. They read comments. They adjusted when it made sense, but never compromised their core identity. This balance, between confidence and openness, is what shaped their excellence. You don't have to please everyone. You just have to serve your people really well. Matt's advice: don't chase perfection. Chase purpose. Chase craft. Chase better, every single day. The big takeaway: excellence isn't a marketing trick. It's the foundation. And it's built in the quiet moments, the long hours, the small decisions, the unseen improvements. It's built when nobody's watching. Matt Jones reminds us, great brands aren't built on hype. They're built on trust. And trust comes from delivering quality over and over again. So if you want to grow your brand, start here. Is your product unforgettable? Is it consistent? Is it evolving? Because when your product is excellent, your customers won't just come back, they'll bring others with them. Lesson 4. Create engaging experiences that build community. In today's world, people don't just want to buy something. They want to belong to something. And that's exactly what 4 Pillars Gin understood from the beginning. In Lessons from Gin, Matt Jones shows us how they went beyond selling bottles and built a movement of loyal fans, followers, and advocates. The secret? Experiences. Not just flashy events or pop-ups, but real, human moments that connected people to the brand. Let's explore how creating engaging experiences can turn your customers into a community. 1. Make your brand tangible. 4 Pillars didn't hide behind digital ads. They opened their distillery door in Healesville, Victoria, and welcomed the public inside. People could taste, touch, smell, and see the gin-making process in real life. The space was designed not as a factory, but as a destination. Warm lighting, beautiful copper stills, curated music, and staff who knew how to tell a story. It wasn't just a visit, it was an experience. Matt emphasizes that giving people a real-world connection makes your brand stick. It moves from memory to emotion. So ask yourself, how can people experience your brand? Can you host a pop-up? Create a tactile unboxing? Add a human touch to a digital interaction? Because the more senses you engage, the more meaning you create. 2. Treat every interaction like a stage. Whether it was a distillery tour, a cocktail masterclass, or a casual chat at the bar, every 4 Pillars moment was designed with intention. Matt calls it performance with heart. Not fake, not scripted, but thoughtfully choreographed to make people feel welcome, informed, and inspired. This idea applies far beyond physical spaces. Your website, emails, social media, and packaging. Every one of those is a stage for your brand. You don't have to be theatrical. You just have to be intentional. What kind of experience are you creating in those small moments? Are you just selling, or are you inviting people in? 3. Build for participation, not just consumption. Here's where 4 pillars really stood out. They didn't just serve an audience, they involved them. They asked for feedback. They crowdsourced ideas. They gave behind-the-scenes access. They even made customers feel like insiders, part of a shared gin journey. This turned buyers into believers, and believers into brand ambassadors. Matt says, if people feel like they're part of your story, they'll help you write the next chapter. And that's the magic of community. It's not about numbers. It's about connection. So don't just ask, how do we sell more? Ask, how do we make people feel like this is theirs? 2. 4. Keep it fun and real. Let's not forget one of the most underrated parts of the 4 pillars experience: fun. From cheeky names like Bloody Shiraz Gin to playful marketing and humorous tone, they never took themselves too seriously. And that made them more approachable. People want to be around brands that feel alive, that make them smile, that celebrate life, not just sell to it. But it was never fake. The fun came from real people doing what they love, sharing it with others. Matt's advice? Be real, be generous, be a bit cheeky if it suits you. That's what people remember. The big takeaway: business isn't just about transactions. It's about relationships. And relationships are built through experiences, the kind that make people feel something. Matt Jones teaches us that when you create moments of connection, joy, and belonging, you're not just building a brand, you're building a community. So whether you're running a cafe, a coaching business, or a content channel, ask yourself, are you creating something people want to join? Or just something they buy once and forget? Because when you invite people into your world and make them feel at home, they won't just come back. They'll bring their friends. Lesson 5. Market boldly, without losing authenticity. In a noisy world, playing it safe is the fastest way to be forgotten. But being bold doesn't mean being loud or fake. According to Matt Jones in Lessons from Gin, great marketing is about making brave choices while staying true to who you are. At 4 pillars, they didn't try to outspend the big brands. They didn't try to blend in. Instead, they told their story with confidence, creativity, and clarity. And most importantly, they kept it real. So how do you market boldly without losing your authenticity? Here are the lessons that made 4 pillars stand out. 1. Define what you stand for, then say it loud. From day 1, 4 pillars had a strong point of view. Modern Australian gin should be creative, world-class, and proudly local. Everything they did, every product, every ad, every event, reinforced that belief. And here's the key: they didn't water it down to please everyone. They embraced their identity, even if it meant alienating a few traditionalists. Matt says, when you try to please everyone, you please no one. Your brand should have a clear stance, a voice, a personality, something that people can connect to, or walk away from. That's how you build loyalty. Not by playing it safe, but by standing for something. 2. Surprise and delight with creative risks. 4 pillars didn't stick to a formula. They launched limited edition gins with wild flavors. They wrapped bottles in art. They collaborated with local artists and international chefs. One campaign even used a flaming Christmas pudding to light up the screen. These choices weren't random. They were thoughtful, fun, and designed to spark conversation. Marketing, Matt explains, should never be boring. You don't need a huge budget. You just need a great idea and the courage to follow it through. So ask yourself, what would make your audience smile? What would make them talk? What would make them say, wow, I didn't expect that? That's where boldness lives. 3. Use every touchpoint as an opportunity to tell your story. For 4 pillars, marketing wasn't just about big campaigns. It was embedded into the smallest details, like handwritten notes in delivery boxes, the storytelling on their labels, or quirky captions on social media. Every interaction was a chance to reinforce who they were and what they stood for. That consistency built a strong brand identity. People didn't just recognize 4 pillars, they felt it. Matt calls it 1,000 little moments that add up to something unforgettable. And the best part? This kind of marketing doesn't require millions. It just takes intentionality. Think about your emails, your packaging, your Instagram captions. Are they just functional? Or are they on brand? 4. Be brave enough to be vulnerable. Here's something most marketers avoid: honesty about the hard stuff. But Matt and the 4 Pillars team weren't afraid to show behind the scenes, the mess, the experiments, the failed batches, the learnings. That transparency didn't weaken their brand. It strengthened it. People trust those who are honest, who show up with humility as well as confidence. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You just have to be real. So don't hide your process. Don't be afraid to say, "We're figuring it out." That's what makes you human and relatable. The big takeaway: marketing isn't about shouting louder. It's about showing up boldly, consistently, and authentically. Matt Jones teaches us that the best marketing doesn't feel like marketing at all. It feels like a conversation, a relationship, a story that invites people in. So if you're building a brand, don't just ask, "How can we get attention?" Ask, "How can we earn trust? How can we be remembered for the right reasons?" Because when you market with purpose, creativity, and heart, you don't just sell a product. You build a movement. Lesson 6. Lead with values and build something that lasts. Success isn't just about sales. It's about building something meaningful, something that lasts. In the final chapter of Lessons from Gin, Matt Jones emphasizes the one thing that ties everything together: values. Because when trends fade, when markets shift, when competitors copy, you need something stronger than tactics. You need a core. And for 4 Pillars, that core was always clear: generosity, creativity, community, and excellence. These weren't just words on a wall. They were lived, daily. So how do you lead with values and create a business that can stand the test of time? Let's break it down. 1. Know what you believe, and live it loudly. Matt Jones is clear. Values aren't marketing tools. They're guiding principles. From the way 4 Pillars sourced ingredients, to how they treated their team, to how they designed their spaces, every decision was filtered through their core beliefs. They didn't compromise on quality. They didn't chase trends for quick wins. They stayed true to who they were, even when it was harder. That kind of integrity is rare, and people feel it. So ask yourself, what do you believe in? What are your non-negotiables? Because if you know what you stand for, decisions become easier, and your brand becomes stronger. 2. Treat people like partners, not just customers. A values-driven business doesn't just serve people, it includes them. 4 Pillars treated their community with respect. Whether it was loyal customers, local farmers, or global collaborators, they led with generosity. Matt calls it creating a circle, not a funnel. Instead of focusing on extracting value, they focused on adding value through education, events, behind-the-scenes access, and genuine gratitude. And guess what? That generosity paid off. In loyalty, in referrals, in reputation. The lesson here? Long-term success comes from relationships, not transactions. Build trust, give first, and treat people like part of your mission. 3. Build a culture, not just a company. What happens behind the scenes matters just as much as what the public sees. At 4 Pillars, the internal culture was just as thoughtful as their branding. Team members were empowered, heard, and encouraged to grow. Creativity was nurtured. Kindness was prioritized. That internal strength showed up externally, in how the brand felt to customers. Matt says, your culture is your brand. And if your team isn't aligned with your values, no amount of marketing can cover it. So if you want your brand to last, start with your people. Make sure they believe in the same mission, and feel safe enough to bring their best selves. 4. Think long-term, not just launch to launch. In a world of quick wins and overnight successes, it's tempting to chase what's trending. But 4 Pillars played a longer game. They built infrastructure. They invested in sustainability. They collaborated with integrity. They never rushed a product just to meet a deadline. And because of that, they didn't just have fans, they had a foundation. Matt reminds us, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And doing well takes time. So before your next launch or post or pitch, ask, is this aligned with our long-term vision? Or is it just a short-term distraction? Because true success is measured in years, not clicks. The big takeaway. In the end, Lessons from Gin isn't just about building a great gin brand. It's about building a great business, one that's creative, human, generous, and lasting. Matt Jones teaches us that values aren't just a nice to have. They're your anchor, your compass, your secret to staying grounded as you grow. So if you're building something, whether it's a business, a brand, or a personal project, start here. What do you really care about? Are your actions aligned with your beliefs? Are you building something that matters? Because when your values are clear, your future is too. That wraps up Lesson 6, and our series on lessons from Jin. If this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and let us know. What values do you want your brand to be known for? Thanks for watching, and remember, the best brands aren't just built. They're lived.